I'm Curtis Green. I'm the city clerk of the city of Broken Arrow, and my purpose here this morning is just to share with you a little bit about how our city council meetings run. And I figured the best way to do that is just to kind of run through an agenda. We've posted the agenda for next Tuesday's meeting, so I'm going to share that with you, and then we'll just go through it together. The form of government we have what's called council manager form of government. The city of Broken Arrow operates under this form. The voters made the change from a strong mayor form of government back in 1956. Basically, the council manager form of government is where the residents elect the governing body, which is the city council. And the city council, basically, their purpose is to adopt legislation, set policy, codes, ordinances. They authorize projects, road projects, things of that nature, and determine how the tax dollars are spent within the city. The council also hires the city manager, and the city manager basically acts as the administrator of the city. He governs the day-to-day operations. So think, you hear oftentimes about corporations. They have a board of directors and they have a CEO. It's kind of along the same structure as that. So the city council, in order for them to go about their business and adopt policy, adopt any other kind of legislation, they have meetings to do that. They meet twice a month. And this. So meeting twice a month. Council meetings are held first and third Tuesdays of each month, 6:30. In June, the meetings are typically held the first and third Mondays. The reason for that change is because we have the Tuesdays in the Park. Some of you may have heard of or may be familiar with. It's basically a concert series in the Central Park area. So this allows the city councilors to not have to attend the meeting that evening and go and enjoy the music at the park with all the other citizens. So meeting dates, they can be found on our website, City of Broken Arrow. It's brokenarrowok.gov. But what they do at the city council meetings, they conduct routine city business, maybe just approving contracts, paying our bills, things of that nature, just routine city business. Now, occasionally, City Council will have special meetings that are held to discuss and make decisions on topics that require detailed reports or more information. For example, late spring, the City Council will typically have a special meeting that they call a budget workshop, where they'll have all the department heads come in and meet with the City Councilors to go over their detailed budget requests for the year. The city manager kind of guides that discussion. It allows the city councilors to come in and answer and get all their questions answered. And then the budget is taken to a regular meeting where that budget is then adopted. But any type of a meeting that's going to require additional time, I guess you could say, just for the councilors to dig into the meat of an issue, they'll have these special meetings occasionally. But city council agendas. So by law, we have to post these agendas in advance of the meetings. We post them at City Hall. We've got a monitor displayed there by our One-Stop Action Center. The agendas are also available on our website. And then if you're interested, you can subscribe and you can have the agendas for all the meetings sent directly to your email address. So you're signing up for it. We don't spam you. It's just every time there's a meeting, you're just going to get the agenda. You're not going to get anything else from us. It's just the agenda. So you can sign up for that if you're interested. So city council meetings are run by the mayor. 6:30 Tuesday, the mayor will call the meeting to order, and then the councilors will proceed to go through the agenda items. And then as far as the procedure on how something is passed, the items that need action, when the councilors will make a motion, I move to approve the consent agenda. And another councilor will second that motion, then they'll take a vote on it. So that's basically how it works from the technical side. Sometimes I get the question, well, it doesn't look like you follow Robert's Rules of Order. Well, that's correct. We don't. We use another parliamentary procedure called Sturgis. So following the agenda. So you've got an agenda in front of you. So we'll just kind of follow along and go through that. So the agenda, the first items on the routine, on the agenda are just formalities. You have to call to order, so the mayor gavels in the meeting at 6:30. Then we have what's called the invocation. The invocation is a local faith leader will deliver a brief prayer for the meeting. Then we do the roll call. I'll call roll so we can officially document that all the councilors are present for the meeting. Then we do the Pledge of Allegiance. A member of the council or sometimes a member of the community will lead those that are there at the meeting in the pledge. Oftentimes we might have a Boy Scout troop or a Girl Scout troop there, and they'll lead us in the pledge. Next on the agenda is what we call consideration of the consent agenda. The consent agenda is what we call routine business. Street repairs, contract renewals, approving the minutes of the previous meeting. These are generally approved with one motion and one vote. So the agenda that you have in front of you for next Tuesday's meeting, you'll notice the consent agenda, there's quite a few items on there. It goes from item A all the way to item Y. And that's under item number 5. So all of those items, councilors do not read through each one of them at the meeting and discuss each one individually. They're just taken as a lump sum and voted on with the one motion and one vote. Now, if there is something that the city council wants to talk more in depth about, they'll request that one or more of those items from the consent agenda be moved to item number 6, which is consideration of items removed from the consent agenda. And then they'll talk about that one item individually, and they'll take a vote on that one specific item more if they pull more off. So that's the consent agenda, just routine business. Next, we have what are called public hearings, appeals, presentations, recognitions, and awards. On the agenda that you have in front of you, this would be page 4. And it's items 7A, B, and C. So you can see the types of things that will be covered this next council meeting on Tuesday. So this is the time when a lot of reports are made to the city council by different city departments or our partner organizations. At the last city council meeting, we had a representative from the Broken Arrow Genealogical Society. They came and made a report to the city council. So oftentimes the agencies, the groups that we partner with as a city will step up and make the report and presentation at that time. So there's, in terms of recognitions, we've got proclamations. So 7B this time, recognition of the Broken Arrow Blue Star Mothers for 20 years of service to the city and our U.S. military service members. So they'll be recognized Tuesday night as well. So that's basically what public hearings, appeals, presentations, recognitions, and awards. When we say public hearings, for example, once a year, the police department applies for this one specific grant, and they have to have a public hearing on that. So they'll do that at that time. Item number 8, citizens' opportunity to address council. Sometimes there might be an item that a resident has a question about. they want to talk about. Maybe they have a pothole or something in the street in front of their driveway. They would like the city to address. Whatever the issue may be. If you are one of those citizens that would like to speak to City Council, prior to the meeting, fill out one of these yellow forms, and you'll give it to me. And then I give it to the mayor, and when we get to this point in the agenda, the mayor will call your name and let you come up and speak to your issue. Now, the caveats are here, it's two main things. One, you only get 3 minutes to speak. And two, because this item that you're speaking about most likely is not on the agenda, City Council cannot address the item. They cannot take any action on the item. That's by law. The law is very specific that the only items they can take action on are the ones that are on the agenda. So you can't just at the last minute start adding things to this agenda that you have in front of you. So, because the public has the right to know what the business is that's going to be transpired in front of council. So if you do decide you want to speak in front of council, just grab one of these yellow forms, fill it out, and get it to me before the council meeting begins. Next item on the agenda, item number 9, general council business. These are just items that the city staff believe warrant more of an in-depth discussion or detailed information before council makes a decision. Topics with a high amount of resident interest and that residents may wish to speak upon are generally reserved for general business. So you can find all the information on our website because we post those agendas there, and there's a hyperlink where you can click on that specific agenda item to see exactly what's being discussed on that general business item. So again, just the city department that is making the recommendation on this general business item, typically their department head will get up, make a brief presentation to council. Council will ask them some questions about it, and then council will make a decision if they want to vote in favor of an item, if they want to deny an item, or if they want to table an item, that sort of thing. Items 10 and 11 on the agenda. These are for ordinances that are under consideration. Ordinances are just enforceable laws enacted by the city. Typically, ordinances are previewed at one meeting. It gives the council an opportunity to ask questions and to get everything analyzed and just get all their questions answered. And then they set the ordinance for adoption typically 2 weeks later at the next council meeting. So looking at the agenda that you have in front of you, item 10A, you see there's a preview ordinance. So this is about closing a portion of utility easement. So all this information is going to be given to council Tuesday night. Council will decide if they want to go ahead and set that ordinance for adoption. They'll vote on that. And then if they decide to set it, 2 weeks later, you'll see that same item underneath item number 11 for ordinances. And then they'll vote on that 2 weeks down the road. Executive session. Executive session is when we actually have to clear the room. That's the one portion of the meeting that is not held in public. Executive session is a private meeting of the council to discuss certain issues. They generally, for the last item on the agenda, they follow the regularly scheduled meeting. And executive sessions have to be noted on the meeting agenda so everyone knows that there will be an executive session, they'll know what will be discussed. Topics of executive sessions are limited by law. They can only discuss things like labor negotiations, employment issues with employees, purchase or appraisal of real properties. If there's any pending litigation, we may need to discuss that with the city's attorneys. So any of these issues, City Council will have these discussions in executive session, but that's the key. They only have a discussion in executive session. Then after the discussion, they come out of executive session, and any votes, any action that they want to take have to be done in public. So they will always make those votes in public. And then lastly, we have the adjournment, and we're done. We just vote to adjourn the meeting, and in most instances, we have two other meetings that follow the City Council meeting. We have two authorities, the Broken Arrow Municipal Authority, it's referred to as BANA, and then we have, after that meeting, we have BETA, which is the Broken Arrow Economic Development Authority. So you'll notice those agendas are attached in your packet as well. And you can see that they follow the same format. You have your call to order, your roll call, your consent agenda, and going forward. So BAMA and BETA agendas are set up very similar to the City Council agenda. So that concludes what I have. But the title of this session is FAQs, Frequently Asked Questions. So, do you all have any questions that maybe I can answer for you? Yes, sir.
I got one. So when they have public comments, how does that, so if the public is addressing it, how does that get added to the agenda? It can't be that day, obviously. So how do they go about getting that added to the agenda?
If someone, yes, he would like to know if a citizen has an issue, question, how would they get that added to the agenda so that the full council can discuss it? Excellent question. Basically, what the process for that is, you're going to work through your department head, and I say yours, one of the city departments. So if you're having a street issue, for example, for streets, you would contact the streets department director, Mr. King. You would contact him, discuss your issue with him, and then if it can't get resolved, or if it is something that does need to go to council, he'll see that it gets there. Yes, the department heads, assistant city managers. Oh, yes, absolutely. So if someone brings an issue that's not on the agenda, they say, hey, I'm mad about this pothole in front of my driveway. The assistant city managers, the director, department heads say, hey, given this citizen, find out what's going on. Let's get the information so we can tackle this problem and try to resolve it. Absolutely.